And like you said, we're not getting the truth all the time either from the media,
Right.
from the Pentagon, and they can't tell us. I mean, some of
Yeah.
this they can't tell us. I understand, but we don't get the true story from our political leaders, the media, the Pentagon, the White House. Everybody's putting a spin. Israel's putting a spin on it. Iran's putting a spin on it. Everybody's doing everything they can to solidify their position. We have to talk about this Iran scenario. The Iranian threat to Israel is real, and they've been using these proxies. We know this. But it came down to this decision about this potential nuclear facility, mainly Fordo. They've got several facilities, but mainly Fordo. And does the United States drop these bunker-busting bombs? Does that put us into the war, or did that stop a war?
Yeah,
that's a question. That's a question.
I mean, it's a huge question, and I think everybody has different stances, as they should, because opinions are important. That's kind of what shapes everything. But the longer that time goes on, the more you can think about, what decisions would you actually make if you're the commander in chief and you're put in that position with everything that you know about too. I think it's a really difficult spot, and I'm really happy that I don't have to make those choices.
Same here.
Because
I don't want that job.
When I first heard about it, because I'm big
anti-war.
I'm an anti-war guy. I'm not, libertarian, anti-war. Everybody just, if you want to build a shed on your property, you don't pull a permit kind of thing.
No, I'm tired of that. Yeah.
But
too many regulations. Just way too many regulations.
But so when I heard initially about it, because I was traveling, I initially heard about it, Israel and Iran going back and forth, right? Not surprised, first of all.
Right.
And then Trump makes the big threat to the Ayatollah. And then, I don't know, I think over the course of 2 or 3 days, then we have the massive U.S. strike on big landmarks, essentially all of their nuclear capability facilities,
right.
Enriched uranium, all of that. So my first reaction is, what are we doing? That's my initial reaction is, what are we doing? Why are we going to get dragged into another war that isn't really any of our business? But when you start thinking about, the strategic impact, implications, possibly setting back Iran from developing this technology 30-ish years. I mean, that's what the White House says.
Yeah.
But again,
I doubt it's 30 years, but yeah. The White House wants everyone to believe that they have set them back 30 years, and maybe they have. Maybe this did. They spent $1 trillion.
Right.
And they don't have, it's $1 trillion in Iran is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Compared to $1 trillion in America.
But I mean, even if you went with that, this is a really hard thing to cover, and I'm happy we're talking about it though, because it's hard to cover because everybody's propaganda at this point.
Yep. Media.
Pentagon. All of the media, the Pentagon, White House,
all three.
Trump has his own stance. You could call it propaganda if you want to as well. So it's really hard to decipher what's, who's right, who's wrong.
You're dealing with several things. You're right.
Yeah.
You got the media propaganda, right and left. You've got the politicians propaganda, right and left. You have the White House's propaganda. You have the Pentagon's propaganda, and then you have the Iranians' propaganda.
Yeah.
And the Israelis' propaganda.
And Israeli.
Everybody is trying to sell their message of why, Iran's trying to tell everybody, look, we don't want to build no nukes. We're just trying to have nuclear energy. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, And the Iranians' real stance, I mean, I don't know what the real stance is, but if you think about it in commonplace of, national security strategy, nuclear warheads and the capabilities serve as a deterrence, which makes you an actual nation. People can't just come,
I understand that. Yeah.
right. So there's all kinds of different ways to think about stuff too.
Well, here's what I look at it. If the Iranian regime, and not the Iranian people, because the Iranian people have been under this 46-year revolution that's put them.
Yeah.
They were a Western nation with a king, and they were thriving economically and in all ways. And then this regime of radical Islam overtakes and does a coup and throws the Shah of Iran out of there. And I remember I was in high school when this all happened. It took 51 Americans hostage for 440 days and threatened to behead them, because there's Sharia law. And then we've had to live, so the Iranian people have had to live under that oppression, executions. I mean, he's executing people right now, left and right, who he thinks might have been involved in selling him out, to the Mossad. But the bottom line is this: if Iran's mentality or ideology wasn't to annihilate another group of people, and you say that all the time, you preach it and you say it and you're building it. The Chinese have nukes, the Russians have nukes, and we have nukes. But we all three are using it as deterrent.
Well, I mean, not only us, the Pakistanis do, the Indians do,
the Turks.
Yeah, there's tons of countries that have that deterrence. North Korea, more than likely, probably does. Or I think.
Oh yeah,
they do. Yeah,
yeah, they do. And South, but so there is deterrent. There's countries who are more that look. They're truly using this as deterrent to protect their nation.
Yeah,
but they're not looking to annihilate other people.
Right, but they just want to be a player. You got to be at
the table.
Right. Otherwise, you're just somebody's little brother or little sister or whatever.
Right. But Iran, their ideology is not the same. That you have to understand, they're not the same. They're all about annihilation of Jewish people, and they say it.
Yeah.
So you can't let terrorists have a nuke. They just can't. They're not allowed to have it.
Right.
And everybody pretty well agrees with that. So.
Yeah, and that's the more that I've been thinking about it. That's the tough decision, and also you have to think about, you don't want to look weak as a nation. So if Trump makes this threat to Ayatollah, and pretty much they just disregard it,
right?
Don't care, continue to do what you want to do. So there has to be some sort of response.
And Trump drew a red line. Now, we've had other presidents that have said this to them, but they didn't, they would say, no, don't you do this, but then they don't do anything.
Okay?
Right. Trump said, look, I hate war. I hate war. I'm telling you, I hate war. Don't do this. And there's basically told Trump to jump in the lake, right?
Yeah.
So Trump said, you think I'm playing? I'm not playing. I'm telling you, you're not going to have a nuke. I'm not going to hurt. I'm not going after your population. I'm going to drop an atom bomb on Tehran.
But
I tell you what I am going to do. I'm going to make sure you're not going to have nukes. So I'm going to, unfortunately, with the help of Mossad over there, I'm going to kill all of your top generals, and I'm going to kill all of your top nuclear scientists, and I'm going to blow up your capability. And I could kill you, but I'm not going to, because you're still the leader of your people. Now that you don't have this toy to play with, do you want to participate and start building business and start participating like the rest of us? That's kind of what Trump said.
Yeah.
And then he did it. And now he's back to the table saying, now we're ready to sit down and talk to you again. Let's have peace.
Yeah. And
that is Trump's position.
And I just put it in a bad situation.
He got put in a bad jam where but see, they were close. They had gotten to over 60% enrichment. They were close. Somebody's got to, at some point, Someone's going to have to pull this trigger, or they're going to have a nuke, and then they will use the nuke, because these guys are like apocalyptic in their mentality. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm more so, I don't know. I still, it's difficult to make make an actual statement or claim or position at this point for me, honestly, on it, because
tough,
I
I
think
know.
it's just too tough. That's why I would never
Well,
run for
this is
president
why,
on that.
and like you said, we're not getting the truth all the time either, from the media,
Right.
from the Pentagon, and they can't tell us. I mean, some of
Yeah.
this they can't tell us. I understand, but we don't get the true story from our political leaders, the media, the Pentagon, the White House. Everybody's putting a spin. Israel's putting a spin on it. Iran's putting a spin on it.
Mm.
You know, everybody's doing everything they can to solidify their position.
Right.
So all I know to do is fly 35,000 feet in the air, look down, and say, "Yeah, really." Can't really let those guys have a nuke.
The big thing that I stick up for is Trump's response to his warning, and it was disregarded.
Yeah.
Now that's a strong move. Like, I'm going, well, okay, you don't want to listen, then I'm going to show you, the repercussions of that.
Yeah. But he wasn't trying to annihilate a people.
No, because that's ridiculous.
No. So
right. So, Pastor, here's an interesting take from this guy here on Twitter, Mr. Poole. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but essentially what he's been doing is following Trump's post on Truth Social, and then kind of reading between the lines about what he thinks about it.
Right.
So essentially what he was saying is, this response was, the U.S.'s way of clearing their hands from doing any of the dirty work and business of Israel, right? This was a last ditch of like, okay, you want us to take care of Iran's nuclear capabilities. We have the ability to do it. We're going to do it, but don't ask me for anything else.
Yes.
That's his position. It's not our position, right?
Right.
And then he goes on and he talks about Trump leaving breadcrumbs in some of his posts, specifically with this gentleman. What's his first name? Jeffrey Sachs, right?
Yeah. Jeffrey Sachs.
So let me play some of this video here. There we go. So here's the Jeffrey Sachs. Trump posted this of Jeffrey Sachs,
which is strange.
The war in Syria, and you may actually hear from grown-up reporters who are lying through their teeth or ignorant beyond imagining that, oh, the war in Syria, yes, Russia intervened in Syria. Well, do you know that that Obama tasked the CIA to overthrow the Syrian government starting 4 years before Russia intervened? What kind of nonsense is that? And how many times did the New York Times report on Operation Timber Sycamore, which was the presidential order to the CIA to overthrow Bashar al-Assad? 3 times in 10 years. This is not democracy. This is a game, and it's a game of narrative. Why did the U.S. invade Iraq in 2003? Well, first of all, it was completely phony pretenses. It wasn't, oh, we were so wrong, they didn't have weapons of mass destruction. They actually did focus groups in the fall of 2002 to find out what would sell that war to the American people. Abe Schultzke, if you want to know the name of the PR genius. They did focus groups on the war. They wanted the war all the time. They had to figure out how to sell the war to the American people, how to scare the shit out of the American people.
He's actually right.
It was a phony war. Where did that war come from? You know what? It's quite surprising. That war came from Netanyahu, actually.
I don't.
You know that? It's weird. And the way it is that Netanyahu had from 1995 onward the theory that the only way we're going to get rid of Hamas and Hezbollah is by toppling the governments that support them. That's Iraq, Syria, and Iran. And the guy's nothing if not obsessive. And he's still trying to get us to fight Iran this day, this week. He's a deep, dark son of a bitch. Sorry to tell you.
All right. We'll cut that off there.
Okay, so what? There's a couple things Jeffrey
said. Keep going with it?
No,
Or you're
no. There's a
Okay.
couple things Jeffrey Sachs said that is correct. Okay, one is the first one was I'm trying to think what the first war that he was talking about slipped my mind. But Iraq. Okay, let's go there. He's right.
Yeah.
Obama, well, first, actually, it was Bush. George Bush wanted to take out Saddam Hussein because Saddam Hussein tried to kill his father. So once we got hit, once we had 9/11, instead of going after the Osama bin Laden and the Saudis that really were the main people involved in that 9/11 thing,
Afghanistan,
plus some insiders. Instead of going straight there, no, let's start with Iraq.
Now that made no sense.
Made no
I don't know how
sense.
anybody got on board with that.
Because that's what Jeffrey Sachs is saying. They had to come up with a way to sell this war. And how they sold the war was they said, Iraq has got weapons of mass destruction. We've got to stop them. And they didn't.
But
they didn't have them.
All right, let's time out though. Because when did 2000 or 9/11 2001.
Right.
When we went to Iraq
in 2003.
2003. So I'm trying to figure out how old I was in 2003. I would have been. I wouldn't have even been 20 years old yet.
No, you weren't 20. You were.
I was still 15. A little. 15, maybe 14, 15. And I remember listening to this, and like, oh, we're going into Iraq, and I'm thinking that as a 14-year-old, what in the world are we doing in Iraq?
I kept
It has
saying
nothing
the same
to do with anything. Why are we going there? We're just wasting time. We're supposed to be finding this guy.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Well, there's.
I don't know how this.
George Bush obviously was sold, was convinced that, and it didn't take much to convince him because Saddam Hussein tried to kill his father. So you know it didn't take much. And then you had Colin Powell was preaching at the United Nations. I remember watching it. That Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. They must be stopped. They was able to build this whole big story. But the thing is, you have to remember who the vice president was. It was Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney was the CEO of Halliburton. Okay? Yeah. So you know how much money Halliburton made and these other defense contractors going after Saddam Hussein in Iraq when they didn't have nothing to do with 9/11. But, boy, they made a ton, and I'm telling you, a ton of money fighting
for 20 years.
Yeah, for 20 years. And then after they pretty well they did remove Saddam Hussein from power.
Sure.
Then they swung their focus toward Afghanistan and hunting down Osama bin Laden.
Yeah,
but I mean, another 20-year war.
Yeah, but you could make the argument that removing Saddam was actually worse for the Iraqi people in the long run.
It was. And worse for the region, too, because even though he was a tyrant, even though he was a dictator, even though he was ugly and dirty,
sure,
he was in control. The country was functioning. It was a functioning society. They had a bad leader, but that didn't matter. They weren't a bad player in the world. You know, they were their own.
Right. I mean, and then when we come in and we try to play world police, nation builders, regime change.
That's a mistake.
And then we install, well, you guys are a democracy now. These people don't even know what a democracy means.
They don't know what that is. They don't understand that. They don't even understand.
And they don't want it.
They understand strong tyrant leaders.
Right. That's like coming into, I don't know, that's just like coming into a Muslim country and saying, okay, you can't be Muslims anymore.
That's what they were
all
doing.
Have to be Christians. Like, no, that's never going to work.
Basically doing, never going to work. And then they tried the same thing with the Taliban in Afghanistan, and it didn't work, did it? It's never going to work.
No, because even the, and again, I was, 14, 15 years old, and then Bush declares, we're declaring a global war on terrorism.
Terror.
You know what that means? That's a war that never ends.
Because that's a war that can never end.
You're fighting an ideology. You're not fighting an enemy.
And when you fight an ideology, you're fighting people who truly believe this is their God.
Right.
And that's never going to work. It never has in history. So, but you make a lot of money fighting this war.
Sure. Because that's what it was ultimately about.
But
really.
we lost a lot of young men,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of them got their legs and arms blowed off.
Well, yeah, but you know, Dick Cheney probably got a bunch of heart transplants from some of those young men too. That's my theory.
It might be, but that's again, he was Dick Cheney, and there were some others that were hawks. They were just warmongers. They were warmongers.
Oh yeah.
Now
we still have them too.
Yeah, we do.
People are pushing to get in.
We still got Lindsey Graham's.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
He's just way over the top. So they're on the Republican side and the Democrat side. You have these warmongers, and they're there. You're always gonna have them
because they make tons of money doing that.
Yeah. Then you go to he brought up Syria.
Yeah.
And he's right. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, who was his Secretary of State, they decided they were going to completely blow the Middle East apart and just blow it up by knocking out these leaders of countries. And these guys had been in charge. I forgot the guy that was in charge of Tunisia. He'd been there like 32 years, but he was in control. It was a functioning society. Obama said he's got to go. He was gone. He created a uprising, and the CIA was involved. He used the CIA to create this revolution. They pumped a lot of money into there and got people going in the riots and took them out of power. Then he did the same thing in Egypt, and then he went straight and did the same thing to Libya and Muammar Gaddafi.
Yeah,
and then he did the same thing again in Yemen. He did 4 straight countries, and they all fell, Drew, in 6 months. And I covered this day after day after day. I kept covering.
Oh, yeah.
And then they said, okay, now Bashir al-Assad's got to go in Syria. And they started the civil war in Syria. They started the same thing, but then Russia stepped in and said, no, you're not taking him out because we got too much interest in the oil there. And our position in the Middle East, this is our one country that Russia had their foot in.
Yeah.
And they weren't going to let that go. And they have never left Syria. They're still there right now.
Yeah.
So that ended the Arab Spring of democracy. That was Obama's agenda. So we had to go through the Bush agenda and then the Obama agenda. And between the two of them, they blew the entire Middle East apart. That's the honest to God truth.
Yeah, and then you wonder why you got so many enemies in the Middle East, because you tried to change every one of their way of living, which none of them wanted.
Now, the only thing that I can agree with out of all of this was you can't let this ideology can't have a nuke. That's the only thing I would agree with. You can't change. You're not going to change how they believe, what they want to do, how they mistreat their women, how they mistreat their people. And they do. These tyrants do, including Saudi Arabia. Okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and they got to wear a burqa and all that. You're never going to change them of that mentality. But what you can do is never let them have a nuclear weapon. And that's the one thing Trump knew. He knew that. He said, nah, they're not going to get to have that. They just can't have that. Now, they can fight. They can fight their wars and stuff, but they're not going to have that.
Yeah. Well, so let me pull this up here too. So with all of the, media propaganda on everybody's outlets too, they tried to create this weird little division of Tulsi Gabbard and Trump. Right. So this was, let me share the screen here. This was NBC's report. This is actually a statement that Tulsi Gabbard and now she's only speaking about nuclear weapons. Now, if you read the rest of the article, right, Tulsi Gabbard sidelined in Trump administration discussions on Israel and Iran. So they put this on June 18th, and you were telling me June 19th is when
Trump dropped the bombs on Iran's nukes. Yeah, nuclear facilities. So
anyway, they're pretty much trying to sow division here, and this came from her speaking about.
They did sow division. They did drive a wedge between her and Trump.
So this is all she's saying here. We'll just listen to it.
I recently visited Hiroshima in Japan and stood at the epicenter of a city that remains scarred by the unimaginable horror caused by a single nuclear bomb dropped in 1945, 80 years ago. Yet this one bomb that caused so much destruction in Hiroshima was tiny compared to today's nuclear bombs. As we stand here today, closer to the brink of nuclear annihilation than ever before, political elite and warmongers are carelessly fomenting fear and tensions between nuclear powers. Perhaps it's because they are confident that they will have access to nuclear shelters for themselves and for their families that regular people won't have access to. So it's up to us, the people, to speak up and demand an end to this madness. We must reject this path to nuclear war and work toward a world where no one has to live in fear of a nuclear holocaust.
Sure. Is there anything wrong with that?
There's not one thing wrong with that report, what she said.
Right.
It's the absolute truth. We don't want to live in a
any-
world. No, there's nothing wrong with that. But they tried to, that what she said and what they wrote in the article is two different things.
Right.
They played her.
Right.
They made it look like she was against Trump dealing with Iran. The truth is, she wasn't saying that at all. She said, we don't need to have another nuclear annihilation. She never
Right.
said Trump
And
don't
even-
go in there. You know, if anything, she was preaching
Yeah,
his
well-
message.
Right. Yeah. Even after the fact, and you watch it now, it's like, oh, okay. Well, that's what we were trying to prevent anyway.
That's right.
Yeah. So she has to go on, and I don't even know if we need to do this now, honestly, but
You can
she
play
has
that.
to go on. The
that
other
clip
one?
where- yeah, I'd play that other clip too because
Okay.
I think it was
All
another
right, so-
good response.
Yeah.
that
Let me
she
pull
had.
that up. This is on her. So this is her government Twitter. It's like, this is the day after, right?
The day after.
The dishonest media is intentionally taking my testimony out of context and spreading fake news. I love that term, by the way, fake news, as a way to manufacture division. America has intelligence that Iran is at the point that it can produce a nuclear weapon within weeks to months if they decided to finalize the assembly. President Trump has been clear that can't happen, and I agree.
I
And
agree.
here's her full testimony.
Iran continues to seek expansion of its influence in the Middle East, despite the degradation to its proxies and defenses during the Gaza conflict. Iran has developed and maintains ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and UAVs, including systems capable of striking U.S. targets and allies in the region. Tehran has shown a willingness to use these weapons, including during a 2020 attack on U.S. forces in Iraq and in attacks against Israel in April and October 2024. Iran's cyber operations and capabilities also present a serious threat to U.S. networks and data. The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program. In the past year, we've seen an erosion of a decades-long taboo in Iran on discussing nuclear weapons in public, likely emboldening nuclear weapons advocates within Iran's decision-making apparatus. Iran's enriched uranium stockpile is at its highest levels and is unprecedented for a state without nuclear weapons. Iran will likely continue efforts to counter Israel and press for U.S. military withdrawal from the region by aiding, arming, and helping to reconstitute its loose consortium of like-minded terrorists and militant actors, which it refers to as its axis of resistance. Although weakened, this collection of actors still presents a wide range of threats, including to Israel's population, U.S. forces deployed in Iraq and Syria, and to U.S. and international military and commercial shipping and transit.
Yeah. I mean,
Everything she said is true.
I don't see where you're sowing division, right? So that's what's important, like, about doing podcasts and people actually want, it might be boring, but the other day, actually, I was watching, it's sitting at the hotel, and by the way, it's hot in here, and sorry about the lighting again, for the video, for you guys watching the video. But the other day I was just flipping the channels in the room, and I put on C-SPAN.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to have something where you just get full context of things, just put it on C-SPAN. honestly, because you're just, oh, well, there's no talking head telling you what to believe and think and spin. So shout out to Purdue University for creating C-SPAN, by the way.
Is that who? I did not know Purdue. I know you graduated from Purdue.
Yeah.
I did not know Purdue is the one who created C-SPAN.
Yeah.
I did not know
Purdue. Which is random. You wouldn't think Purdue would be the one.
No, that's a great idea. And the thing is, I agree with you, because then when you watch it, if you watch these guys debating on the floor of the Senate or the House,
yeah,
you get to hear the actual guys what they say. You don't
instead of just a headline,
not the talking heads telling you what they said because they lie. No, you get to actually hear them say it. Now you have to be patient because you have to sit and listen and watch the rules of decorum and how it really works in the U.S. in the United States government, how it actually functions, and you also see how it's dysfunctional. But you get the truth that way because you actually hear it for yourself.
Yeah, and you're not being led down a path of seduction from Pfizer, right, or whoever.
Right, Pfizer. Brought to you by Pfizer. Everything's brought to you by Pfizer.
But anyway, yeah. So that's my old manism for the week for you. Watch C-SPAN more.
There you go.
But anyway, so I wanted to ask you, Pastor. Go ahead. What were we going to say?
I was going to say I love watching the House of Commons sometimes over there in UK when somebody talks and they all stand up. They all sit back down. And then somebody else says something. Then they all sit down. I kind of watch how they do it. It's kind of funny, but it's effective too.
It's different culture.
The prime minister goes in there and he makes a statement or two, and then the whole house jumps and screams, and then they yell at each other, and then they sit down.
Yeah. They probably don't like it. I guess that means they don't like it, or
sometimes they cheer. Yeah. And you hear another one, boo, over there, and then they sit down. They know how to do it right. I mean, I give them credit for that.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing that I don't know how real any of this is, and I really didn't follow it at all. So I just figured it'd be fun to talk about. What's the deal with this Trump Musk non-divorce, or what is this? Is that what that is?
Well, yeah. I think that there was not enough oxygen in the Oval Office
no.
for Donald J. Trump and Elon Musk and little X.
No, yeah. Okay. It got strange. It got strange.
There's not enough oxygen in that building for those two guys. Trump, though, I'll give Trump credit for this. He brilliantly used Elon Musk.
Oh, sure.
To help him win the election. And in return, he also used Elon Musk to come in as Doge and expose the corruption that goes on and shows the American people, here's the kind of stuff that goes on. But then Musk goes crazy and wants to go, he's hacking without looking sometimes. And so Trump has to say, okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it. You did great. But it's time for you to go. Your Tesla stock's looking pretty bad. You need to probably go. Okay?
Right.
I love you, but you got to go. And then Musk doesn't really want to leave, and Trump says, look, you're leaving. Okay? I said it.
Yeah.
When I say you got to go, I mean you got to go. Okay?
Yeah.
And so Musk doesn't like getting pushed out, but so he fires back and does some stupid stuff, and then Trump has to threaten him and say, we can get rid of your contracts if that's what you want. And then Musk says, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I'll go away. I'll go away and do my thing. So that's kind of how that bromance turned into a divorce.
Yeah. But I mean, they still have to rely on each other, and they. Oh
yeah, there's not, and they're not going to pull no contracts.
No.
And Trump, at the end of the day, is happy that Musk came on board and used his ex account and threw $100 million at him, and really Musk helped push about 5% between Musk and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Trump won the election. That's the two moves that won the election, and the bullet that went through Trump's right ear.
Sure.
That was it. It didn't hurt that he threw a few French fries out at the McDonald's.
Right.
It didn't hurt that he drove a dump truck because Kamala was lost in the weeds, clueless.
Yeah. And he appeared on, I think.
Hey, Joe Rogan. Got to give Joe Rogan a bit. For 3 hours on Joe Rogan.
Well, yeah, you got to give Barron Trump love for that.
You got to give Barron Trump love because he said to his daddy, "Hey, Daddy, you want to win this thing? You want to win this thing? Go on Joe Rogan. Go on a few podcasters. Take all questions. Don't be afraid, and you'll get the respect of the American people. You'll get the respect of the young people.
Yeah,
which they help win. Young men. There's a lot of young men who join MAGA. I mean, a lot of them. A records amount.
Right.
And then even the African Americans.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
And the Latinos.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, back to the Musk question. They look, those guys are good friends. And part of that has to be done publicly. They got to do a little show.
Yeah, because they're Wharton guys and they're theatrics.
Trust me, these guys know how to play. They're billionaires. They know how to play.
Oh, yeah.
They're gonna They're going to be friends for life.
Well, I mean, but part of the thing, too, though, I feel like a lot of people were done with Elon. You can't have that much FaceTime, man.
He has to go. I was tired of him after 60 days. 130 was killing me.
Oh, well, I was tired of him, honestly, after the election. I didn't want to see him on the TV anymore. I love the work, though. I think that's a great thing that Doge, that was a great way to start it. But it definitely has to work out the kinks of it, right?
You got to let
Yes,
Congress
it should be a governmental oversight committee department deal, but having a guy like Elon in there who is a big boss man, whether people like to admit it or not, can't be pushing people around and acting like a big boss when you're not an elected official. I'm sorry, dog. That's not how the government
appreciate what you did, but that ain't how it works. And so, he's out. And at the end of the day, history will show that it was a brilliant move to bring him in to help get the Doge thing started. Uncovered a lot of this stuff, and it makes these politicians nervous now about this stuff they do behind closed doors because Elon Musk they still got a bunch of his geeks that are going through stuff. They're just not posting it no more right now. But
but it's still going on.
It's going on, and the politicians are nervous. They can't do all this dirty stuff they do and make $100 million and $200 million net worth. And when they get out of office, they are going to have to watch every step they make now because there's little geeky guys that walk around who are studying every little email and every back channel and every fake account and every everything going on. That's a good thing that's happening.
Yeah. Is that playing? Was that playing? Sorry about that.
Wait, nothing was playing.
Oh, okay. I was trying to look up something on here while you're talking about people. What is it? We don't know what all they have on it.
Oh, that was Maxine Waters. Do you have that clip? I mean,
I gotta find it. But yeah, that is the thing. There's still
you got some idiots that have really showed who they are. We found out we knew who Maxine Waters was, but she really showed who she is. We know now that Gavin Newsom is an empty suit. I mean an empty airheaded suit who's running California into the ground. We figured out who he is. He's a tax and spend liberal who doesn't do anything. And we have found out who Karen Bass is. An absolute waste of time. We found out some stuff about some of these people that we realized. We found out about some of the Republicans, too.
Violated because all of our privacy is being taken up by Elon Musk and Trump, and we don't know what all they have on us. We don't know what all they have on us. People of this country are being violated.
That just tells it all. It really does. And I know we played it last time we did the
only people being violated is us. We've been violated by her and a lot of those other folks on both sides of the aisle. They've been robbing us blind, but we don't know what they have on us. That is a problem, Maxine.
Because all of our privacy is being taken up by Elon Musk and Trump, and we don't know what all they have on us. We don't know what all they have on us.
No,
people of this country are being violated.
We don't know.
We don't know what all they have on you. And I guarantee you there's a lot more on you that we don't know that they have on you.
I mean, I know the last time, it's been a while since we did a Paul and Paul podcast. Paul and Paul
Yeah.
cast,
Paul and Paul cast.
Pastor and
That's-
Junior. Anyway, I think that's our, Maxine
Well,
Waters is.
we've been saying it. If you thought about it, we'll talk about it. And I think we all thought about it.
we really don't know what all they. But
Uh,
anyway, a good news though in the government, good changes. It goes back to our recent episode, a couple episodes ago, with Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, which YouTube, great job, didn't pull us off.
They left it alone. They
didn't pull us off.
Yeah, it was a great interview you did with her. Great, brilliant interview.
But so since then though, RFK Jr. has been actually making some things go down in FDA, right? So they pulled the COVID vaccination for I believe it's for infants. I'd have to look at it specifically.
Yeah, I think it's for infants. I think it's for
like
the mandatory on infants. That's off. Yeah.
Yeah, like 6 months and younger, which is kind of a ridiculous thing anyway, because it was experiment. I don't. Again, YouTube, but they also pulled it off of pregnant women as well, which again is a protect. Right? I don't know who thought it was a good idea to say, well, yeah, pregnant women need to get this COVID vaccine too, but no sushi. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay.
No.
I didn't know. I thought sushi would probably be safer than, I don't know. Anyway,
but now look what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is doing. He's doing what he said he was doing. He's going after the poison and the chemicals that they've been put in the food.
Yeah, that's huge.
The red dye and whatever else he's doing. I don't even know.
High fructose corn syrup and food additives. A lot of major big food is starting to see the writing on the wall, because to be honest with you, they were never going to do anything anyway. So let's never look at them like they're going to be good guys, because they're not.
They're not.
But once the big food companies see the writing on the wall and you see them make changes right away, something's going on.
Well, here's something too. And Kennedy brought this up, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He said, look, he named the things that the same companies that produced these foods also produced the foods for the UK and Europe, and they don't put those chemicals in that food,
right?
Because those governments said you can't. So they do it. They produce it. So if you can produce it there, you can produce it here.
Yes.
So what's the real agenda?
Money.
What was money and also, there was some serious things they were doing to the human bodies of the United States, American population. I got to be careful here because I can't really say all that stuff. But I can say this. Kennedy is doing what he said he was going to do. Help make America healthy again, and starting with the poison in the food. I mean, honestly, poison in the food.
And we don't want to get into conspiracy track. However, if you wanted to, a good place to start is, why would the Food and Drug Administration be together?
I've been saying that. Thank God. Food and Drug Administration. Does it make sense? There could be food agency and then a drug agency, but why are these two together? And some of the very the chemicals are being tossed around both ways, and throw in some pesticides.
Mm-hmm.
Same companies that make the pesticides are making the food and the drugs.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. And by the way, speaking of that, Monsanto got crucified, rightfully so, for the things that they've done.
Rightfully so.
But it's not Monsanto anymore.
No.
Because now it's Bayer.
It's Bayer who make the aspirin. People don't realize that.
Yeah.
Bayer is Monsanto. They bought Monsanto.
Right.
So it's the same.
So they still the genetically modified seed corn.
Absolutely. GMO.
Yeah. It's all still there, guys. It didn't go away just because Monsanto got bought out.
Nope.
It's still there.
And so Kennedy's got to go after that. And he's also going after chemtrails.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that, but
I'm telling you. And in Florida, they just signed it into law. Ron DeSantis signed it. It's against the law in Florida to spray anything in the air. And if you get caught, it's 5 years in prison. And you know what, Drew? every day in Florida, I go out and I look up. It's beautiful blue skies.
Oh,
There's no
perfect.
more, no more streaks. There's no more streaks. I'm thinking, if it wasn't true, we would be still seeing streaks up there. There is none in Florida because it is true.
Hopefully we didn't just get cut off just because you're about to say that, but maybe we did. I guess I'll sit and wait and see if you get back on. All right, so I guess Pastor Paul just got kicked off because he was about to say something. This isn't even a live recording, so I'll wait. Did you get kicked off? Huh? You there? Did you get kicked off? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm still in the recording. They didn't kick me off.
Well, apparently I can't talk about chemtrails. I mean, we're not even live.
No, we're not.
This is not even broadcast.
Nope. Well, I guess.
Or probably Monsanto and Bayer and all.
No,
So,
probably not. Nope, we'll take that out.
I can't even get back into the thing.
Oh, you can't even come back on?
No.
Wow.
No, I'm shut out. Now I'm gonna see if there's a way to get back on StreamYard.
Wow.
Site.
That's crazy. We're not even live. That was crazy. I guess we know. We can't touch the touchy subjects. Nope, they weren't going to let that happen. A lot of disruption. Yep. We got to censor everything. Got to control it. You still working on getting in? I guess you can talk about that, but you can't record it. Wow. All right. So Pastor Paul's coming back on. I'm going to hang up the phone there. Actually, you heard the feedback there. So Pastor let me put Pastor back on stage here. I think we got a little bit too close to, I don't know, the truth, maybe. So
we got too close to truth. And here, folks, what you don't realize is we weren't live. We were just recording this.
Yeah.
And we got censored. We just got censored recording it.
Yeah. Actually, we haven't done a live stream podcast. So everything that we do is record. We had this issue maybe one other time before with a guest that we had. I don't know if they were getting too close to something or they just didn't like that guest. They had a history of technical difficulties on recordings anyway, but we'll move on and not talk about what we were talking about. But
it's too bad because it was good.
You can't get too close to certain topics apparently. So anyway, we can lighten it up, Pastor.
Okay.
I wanted to ask what's going on at the state of the ministry. We got an upcoming webinar.
Webinar's coming up in late July. Called Silencing the Serpent. We'll be dealing with our authority over Satan and over temptations and over demonic oppression and things that we deal with. We'll be dealing with addictions.
Yeah.
From porn addictions, gambling addictions, drug addictions, sex addictions, alcohol addictions, just a lot of different addictions that people deal with. And it's real, and they really are dealing with it. And how can we help people overcome these things?
Right.
So, we're going to deal with we're going to deal with some demonic stuff as well. People are going through spiritual oppression, spiritual infestation. That's hauntings, things that happen in people's homes, really, and even demon possession a little bit. So we'll deal with these types of subjects. How do we silence the serpent? And of course, the serpent, was the devil in the garden who tempted Eve and has declared war on the woman's seed, and God has declared war on his seed. So, yeah, we're going to, the title of this webinar, and of course, we're going to get some great guests, and there are going to be some new people that you've probably never heard before that's going to be help us in this one. Silencing the Serpent.
Wow. I was curious. I don't know the guest lineup yet, but I was wondering, maybe you have somebody with a like a AA testimony in there, because
there's going to be, I think one of the things me and Heidi talked about was, what's it called? Celebration. It's not AA, but it's, yeah, celebrate recovery.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to have a guy who has a ministry on porn addiction. He actually holds seminars to help mainly men overcome this addiction. So yeah, we're bringing in different people for different specialties. It's really going to be good. I think it's really, really going to be good.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, I think that's important. I think a lot of people struggle with a lot of that stuff.
There is some people with some great testimonies from AA that.
Oh yeah.
And maybe what we do, Drew, you and I haven't talked about it, but maybe we do an interview with the audience of people who have been successful through the AA program.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Actually, I think that's
a great idea.
Yeah, a virtual AA program, pretty much, or not program, but
or
a virtual AA.
Their testimony, AA people, folks who have
AA
overcome,
meeting, yeah.
Right, and it's work for them, and they can give their testimony.
Yeah, I think that's powerful. I have a few different friends that have experienced that, and some life changing things for that. I think that's important. I think that's good. That sounds like a great webinar actually coming up. So
really
I'm
will
looking
be
forward to that.
Yeah.
Other things, pastors finishing the reboot of Zombie Apocalypse.
Yep. Revised version of Zombie Apocalypse. Heidi and I are working on it together. It's just about done with it. It's just about ready to go to press. So that's coming up quick. No doubt about that. I'm working on another book also that right now it's being pitched to several publishers, and we're waiting to see which one wants it. It's
with Troy, right?
With Troy Anderson.
Yeah, with Troy Anderson. Yeah.
We think this is going to be a powerful book.
And then, so Pastor and I are recording this. We're both in bad internet hotels.
Yes,
I'm getting ready. My family and I were just getting ready to head west to Washington. So
yeah, you're moving to Washington State. So you're going from the East Coast now back to the West Coast.
Back to the West Coast, so I can actually, watch late ball games
and not have to stay up till midnight.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, let me ask you a question. You're a big San Diego Padre fan because you lived about 7-8 years in San Diego, right?
Right.
Yeah. See, then you lived 3 years in Okinawa, Japan. Then you came back to America all the way to North Carolina.
Yep.
And then you guys got moved to Virginia. And now you're going all the way back to the West Coast, this time to Washington State, to the Seattle area. I'm asking a question. Do you then become a Seattle Mariner fan?
Or no, they're number 2. They'll be number 2.
So San Diego's still going to be your number 1, the Padres.
Yeah.
But the Mariners might become your number 2. What about football? Are you going to be an Indianapolis Colt ticket holder?
I'm a season ticket holder until they kick me out.
Okay, so you're a season ticket holder at the Indianapolis Colts, but you'll probably go into Seattle Seahawk games.
Yeah. The public transportation is not bad. From where we live, about an hour, I can be at Mariner Stadium.
Oh, that's great.
T-Mobile Park or whatever. I think in August they're playing the Padres, so I'll be there.
Oh, you'll be there for that. 3-game series. You might have to just go there and stay 3 days and do the whole season.
Just hang out.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to it. No more sweating out west, or over there out west anyway. But just recently, Pastor, our beloved Indiana Pacers lost Game 7 NBA Finals to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Heartbreaker. Can't say that I'm shocked, but that was the best Pacers team I've ever seen. So
that was and I think they won the hearts of America because they were the underdogs. They just, what an incredible run. Beat Milwaukee. Beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, who was the number 1 seed in the East, beat the New York Knicks in a dogfight. with some
Great rivalry.
and the whole time, and then it goes 7 games with the Thunder, and there was 5 buzzer beaters by Halliburton in this journey.
Yeah.
This was an incredible ride, and I really believe that if Halliburton doesn't get hurt in Game 7, he hit 3-pointers from the logo. I really believe the Pacers win that game. If he doesn't go down like that, I think we win. I think the Pacers win.
Yeah. Well,
but we'll never know.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah, but unfortunately we won't know. I think the Pacers are still young, and I think they need to win one within the next 3 years, though.
Otherwise, they gotta hurry.
Some of that nucleus is going to fall apart, and people are going to realize the Pacers actually have good basketball players.
Yeah.
And then they're going to go somewhere and get paid, and then that's not our game.
I'm worried right now that I'm really worried that Miles Turner, our center, is that the Lakers or somebody's going to grab him, because his contract, he's in, his contract's up. So
yeah,
Pacers are going to pay him a lot more than they have been, but I don't know if it's enough. I really don't know. I think he wants to stay with the Pacers.
Yeah, probably.
But if somebody rolls out a huge check so big, he really would be doing his family a disservice if he says no.
That's true. Yeah.
So we'll just have to wait and see.
Gotta get that big payday at some point. But so now it's on to, Padres, Cubs, Mariners, I guess. I don't know.
The Cubs are in first place. I mean, they've been playing ball. I mean, they really have. I forgot what the record is right now. I can go take a look.
Yeah, I'll pull it up. I'll throw it up there.
Yeah. They're 49-34. They're 15 games over right now.
Oh, yeah. Cubs, there you go.
49.
48 and 34.
Well, they must have won, because now it's saying they're 49-34. So they must have won tonight. Okay.
All right.
They got a 2-game lead on the Brewers and a 3.5-game lead on the Cardinals. So, but they're playing good baseball. Matter of fact, they have the second best record in the National League right now, behind the Dodgers. And they're only 3 games behind the Dodgers.
Oh, yeah. We don't talk about the Dodgers.
But you're a Padre guy, and you're in second place behind the Dodgers.
Yeah. Well, 45 wins. Well, look, the Giants got 45 wins, too.
Yeah,
third
you're
place.
a dog. So so let's say the Dodgers win this division.
Let's not.
I know you don't want to say that yet. It's too early to say it. But the Padres have got to figure out a way to get that wild card spot if they can't overtake the Dodgers, and hopefully they can.
Let's see how they're doing on that. There's a wild card. There it is.
They're in the hunt.
National Leagues.
You got the Brewers. You got
Mets, Brewers, Padres,
and Giants.
Well, actually, how it works now is the top 2 teams from each division make it.
Well, then you just got to stay ahead of the Giants. Stay ahead of the Giants. Stay ahead of the Giants.
Pretty much, and that's a half game difference between the 2.
Then when you get in the playoffs, knock the Dodgers off like you did a couple years ago.
Oh man, that was beautiful. Last year, not as beautiful, but yeah, we did.
But you got them.
But
Cubs. If the Cubs got the hitters, Cubs absolutely got hitters and speed. They can hit and run. Okay. The question is, can they pitch? Do they have enough pitching to win this division? That'll be the question. The pitchers are starting to get rocked a little bit, so we're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah.
The Cubs are in first.
Yeah, it's a long year, but as long as the Yankees don't win,
and the
Dodgers don't win. As a Padres fan, you would think, Dodgers are your least favorite team. No, they're not. The Houston Astros
they cheat.
Are my least favorite team in the history of baseball. They shouldn't even be allowed to have
first place right now.
A franchise. They should have blown up the stadium after
all that cheating.
All that cheating. What did they do? They just implemented different ways of
Stealing the
pitch and
signs.
catcher communication. And everybody got a slap on the wrist. Houston Astros, whatever. No, they should have. Didn't they give SMU football a lifetime ban at one point?
Yeah.
No, Houston
There's-
Astros, just whatever.
There's about 3 different things Houston did that was illegal, and it's helped them to win a couple World Series. So
yeah.
They
should have a
you got
lifetime. They should never be able to have a baseball team in the city of Houston ever again. That's what I would have done.
You'd have given death penalty.
Just the whole city, nothing else.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a real exciting baseball season. You got the Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays going at it head to head. You got the Tigers playing really well, and then you've got the Astros with a 6.5 game lead on Seattle. So the American League, it's the typical players. It's the Astros and the Yankees, with Tampa Bay hanging tough, and then in the National League, it's some of the typical guys. Again, it's the Dodgers and the Padres going at it. It's the Phillies and the Mets in a virtual tie going at it. And surprisingly, it's the Cubs, that are rising to the top. So it's going to be good. It's going to be a really exciting second half of the season, and then the playoffs. I'm just looking forward to it.
Because all of our privacy has been taken up by Elon Musk and Trump, and we don't know what all they have on us. We don't know what all they have on us. People of this.
I can't. Sorry, I gotta.
Yeah. There's not enough oxygen.
Stop playing that.
It's just.
But anyway, Pastor, so close us out. If you give us get a little.
I got some encouragement.
Something encouraging.
Yeah, I hear here's one of my markers. Okay, so just so you know, it's a marker.
Let's full screen it. There you go.
Ain't that cool? Look.
What is that? Right? That gold plated?
Gold plated. Trump, 2024. Oh, that was a gift to me. It's gold plated. And then I also received this one just the other day, and it's black with gold.
Ooh, that one's sharp.
Ain't that sharp? Pastor Melvin Whittington gave me that one. It's really nice. So I use these as markers in my Bible. So kind of cool. Anyway, let me give you something encouraging here. Jesus preached the greatest sermon ever of all time, and not many people preach it. It's called the Sermon on the Mount. It's Matthew 5, Matthew 6, and Matthew 7. It's 3 chapters. And if you read these, it's all in red, okay? When you read it, it's all Jesus. And when you read what he said, here's what you need to do to live by. There's so much of that. It's like, oh, I need to work on that. Ooh, I got it. I got to work on that. Okay, yep, amen. Ooh, I got to work on that. I mean, it's that good, okay? It's really that good. But I like what he said, and this is what's called the Beatitudes. He starts the sermon out by saying this: blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. That means the humble, okay? Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. So you're weeping for those who are also weeping, okay? You're feeling other people's pain. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Again, stay humble. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Okay? Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. So, God wants us to be humble, consider others. He wants us to be merciful. We'll receive mercy from him. If we are merciful to other people, we get mercy from God. Real important. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Stay pure in heart, not angry, not judgmental, not, just stay humble. Stay pure in your heart. Do what's right. And then he says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. God really doesn't like controversy. He don't like people who are always creating and stirring up the pot and causing all these issues. He wants peacemakers.
Wow.
If you are a peacemaker, you will be called a children of God. Okay, and I want to leave that as the final point here, although two more things are in the Beatitude. Blessed are they that are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. You're blessed. In other words, if these things happen to you, you're blessed. You don't feel like a blessing, but in God's eyes, it's a blessing because you're standing up for Christ. So
Wow.
I'm going to use this one of all these Beatitudes today. I want to focus on blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. And so I am kind of proud of a couple things. I do hear America always trying to say, let's have peace.
Right.
And I hear Trump say, I hate wars. Let's have peace. Let's have a peace deal. Let's work out a deal. Let's make a deal over here with Russia and Ukraine. Guys, let's have a peace deal over here with the whole Middle East. Can't we all get along? Can't we just all live in peace? But he also says peace through strength. And that is where he says, but we will show you our strength if you won't come to understanding of peace. So he has that other philosophy of peace through strength. But peacemaking is the key here for all of us in family issues, on your job, at your school, and everything. You know, wouldn't it be great if the Republicans and the Democrats could come to peace and just do things that would be good for the country? It would be great, right?
Yeah.
It would be great. So
any sort of progress from those two would be
wonderful. Anything. But anyway, so that's key. Be a peacemaker, and you're a child of God.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on the Paul Begley Podcast. New episodes will be released every Tuesday on all major podcast streaming platforms. For a video recording of this episode, you can watch and subscribe on our YouTube channel at Paul Begley Podcast. Hey guys, we want you to connect with us. Follow us on X and Twitter at Paul Begley Pod. We'd love to hear your questions you want us to answer on the show. For additional Paul Begley content, go to our website at paulbegleyprophecy.org. If you've thought about it, we'll talk about it. Paul Begley Podcast.